You are listening to the Fleaflicker podcast.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Fleaflicker NFL SHOW. I think it's episode 14. I'm your host, Ari Umar, and today I'm joined with my other host, Amal Ronak. What's up, Amal? How you doing?
What's up, man? How are you doing?
Solid. How's quarantine treating you?
So far, so good, I guess. In this day, I don't even know. I can't keep track of the days that we've been stuck at home, but yeah, it's been rough. I was happy that we could catch up though yesterday.
That was a fun walk we had yesterday.
Yeah. It takes. I mean, we haven't seen each other in over a month, so it was definitely needed.
Yes, sir. So today I just want to hop into some NFL news we missed out on the last couple weeks. I want to talk about our wide receiver rankings because I actually sat down and watched over 20 guys play wide receiver. So I feel like I'm sort of qualified to talk about them. And I want to hop into some NFL draft storylines. So let's hop right into it.
All right, let's go for it.
Any news you want to talk about other than the CMC deal? Christian McCaffrey getting his 4-year, $64 million deal, I think it was.
Yeah, that was pretty big. I think once each running back gets their breakout year, they immediately get paid, and that's a big contract that they're having. And the last running back to have that big contract, Zeke, the following year he didn't really pan out to be as.
And before that, it was Todd Gurley too.
And before that was Todd Gurley, and Todd Gurley now this past year was not playing up to par, and he even got cut. So
he's not even on the Rams anymore. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know how I feel about it. Do I obviously think he deserves to be the highest paid running back? I say yes, because he is, in my opinion, the best running back in football. So it would make, if I was in his perspective, I'd want to be paid that much, and I think he would have to be paid that much in order for the Panthers to keep him. And you wouldn't want to tag the guy, so that's their only option.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like giving him a contract early might be smarter, just because the cap just went up with the new CBA. It went up to, I believe, 49% from 48%. So you're getting a ton more money, and it goes up like $10 million every year. So I think in general, probably paying players early is like a good rule of thumb, like what the Eagles did with Carson Wentz and the Rams did with Jared Goff. But I don't know if a running back is worth paying it, just because it's the most physical position in football and you get hurt so often, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of value, I don't know if he's necessarily worth that much to the team. I mean, to be fair, the Panthers, that offense basically runs around him. So I can kind of see that, but the lifeline of a running back isn't that long. So even 4 years, $64 million, I doubt he'll be playing all 4 years at that same high level, because there's always going to be injuries and everything. I hope he does, but I mean, I don't know if he will.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see, all the other running back contracts haven't worked. I think CMC is potentially better than all those other guys, except maybe Todd Gurley back in 2018, I think it was. But
yeah, I agree. I think Todd Gurley's season was amazing, and I thought he would carry it on, but then the arthritis thing came up, and even right as that arthritis news broke, I think even in that amazing offensive player of the year season that he was having, right when that news broke that he had arthritis, his season actually started declining. In the playoffs, he was not even that great. In the Super Bowl, C.J. Anderson had more attempts. So
I remember Philly played him that year, so that 2018 year, and Gurley, he had some sort of a knee issue, and this is before the whole arthritis thing came out, and he pretty much sat out after the first quarter, and we pretty much won that game because of him not playing. And I think it pretty much started from that week 14, whatever it was, game where he really that arthritis started hitting him. So it'll be interesting to see how CMC doesn't have any sort of torn ACLs or anything like that I'm aware of, which is one of the risk factors for arthritis, at least what some doctors think, which is what caused the arthritis for Todd Gurley. But he's a running back, and I don't think paying running backs are worth it in the long run, but he's worth it, like, as a player.
To be fair, yeah. Yeah. So, like, I mean, so right now the Eagles right now have Miles Sanders. Going back to your point of not having the value, Eagles have Miles Sanders now, and let's say he was to break out, if not this year, next year, he breaks out and has a year similar to, like, let's say Ezekiel Elliott. I'd expect him after that year, after his rookie contract's done, to get that type of money. Would you not agree?
Yeah, I mean, he definitely, if he improves from his rookie season and plays at like a pretty high level, he's definitely going to get paid. I don't know if he's going to be paid like top running back money, but he's definitely going to be paid more than like market value.
Maybe
And I don't know if it's worth it.
probably
Like,
maybe tag value. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, man. Running backs, like, look at Melvin Gordon. He held out thinking he was going to get a ton of money, didn't get it, and then he ended up signing a pretty low money deal with the Broncos. Someone like Le'Veon Bell, he got less money after his holdout than he would have gotten from the Steelers originally. I don't know.
Yeah. Another storyline I guess that we could talk about is Dak Prescott. How he's holding these he's denying that he held a party that big, but I mean I thought that that was pretty stupid altogether. I don't know. What do you
It's
think?
not franchise QB material, everyone. Heard it here first from the biased Eagles fan.
So he right now is tagged, right? And everyone is saying that the man should get paid, right? So in my perspective, I don't personally believe he's that great where he deserves to get that much money as a quarterback that's like not playing at that high a level. Like I don't think he's playing at let's say Carson Wentz's level, or he's not playing at. I think he's better than Jared Goff. So I think value to franchise, maybe he can get paid that much, but he's asking for like money higher than Russell Wilson. So I don't know if he's worth that. Mm,
I don't
I
think.
don't
I
know,
think he's definitely
but
not worth Russell Wilson money.
he has the burden of playing for America's team. So maybe in that aspect, you'd have to pay him. I mean, but it's pretty stupid. Don't think I think he should just take the tag money. I don't know if he's worth anything more than that. But in his perspective, I think he should go after every dollar he can get. So I think he should be around. I expect him to get a deal done, and I think he would get paid around Russell Wilson money, even though I don't think he's worth it.
Okay, I have an idea for you. So, like you said, he plays for America's team, right?
Yeah.
So, what if he? So most, just a general rule of thumb, when you pay your quarterback, like the first 4 years of that rookie deal, first 5 years, whatever it is, those are like the key. That's like the key time frame to win a Super Bowl. You saw the Eagles do it with Carson Wentz, even though he wasn't starting that game. You saw the Rams do it with Jared Goff. You saw like what the Chiefs are doing with Patrick Mahomes right now. Like they're building around that cheap rookie deal, getting good higher paid players around him, and they're building a team like that. And so the Cowboys, I think me and you can both agree, they haven't really preyed on that window that they like the way they should have. They should have definitely, at least made a championship game, maybe even made a Super Bowl, but they didn't. And sure, you could chalk that up to Jason Garrett or whatever, but just the way they built their team was not smart. And Dak Prescott wasn't really good the last 2 seasons either. So here's my thing: if Dak wants to get paid, right, I think he should take less money, like take $30 million. Yeah, it's not a ton of money. It's not like you're making a ton of money still, but it's not like like Russell Wilson, like I'm the best quarterback on the market type of money. From there, the Cowboys can save some of that money, maybe invest it back into the team, right? And they're gonna start winning. And when they start winning, he's the Dallas Cowboys quarterback. He's gonna make so much more in like advertisements and all that type of stuff. I don't know. I feel like you could get
He
paid
already
a
has.
good yeah, he
Yeah.
could get paid a ton of money from that while not completely like, you know, blowing up that team by making them pay him like 40 million or whatever it is, which I don't think he's gonna get paid. I think he's gonna get paid like 34-ish, probably, something like that.
Which is around Wilson area, 34,
Yeah.
35. Yeah. That's what I said. I think he will get paid. I agree with that strategy. If I were the Cowboys, I'd do the same thing. But I think outside appearance wise, I know Dak's probably wanting his money now than later. So I think I'm assuming he'll get the money now. But I think you're absolutely right when you say that it's probably best that he gets he takes the tag. Is like whatever, that's fine. And and if he does really well with the team that he has around him this year, because of the money they saved from not paying him this year, and maybe he can get paid big money next year, where he actually is worth the 35 million. So I don't know. I think what you're saying is right though. I think it's best that he takes the tag, moves on, has a great season this year with the Cowboys, and if they reach their goals this year, maybe get to the championship game. And I guarantee you, I think Dak will get paid big bucks. So, yeah.
Okay, that's enough Cowboys talk for me. I'm about to throw up a little bit.
Yeah, I know. I hit the Cowboys too. So I didn't want to give the goals of championship game and Cowboys in the same sentence. But I mean, hey, they got a talented team. I don't know. We'll see.
So do you want to talk about the OBJ rumors? Because it's kind of odd to me.
Oh yeah, that's quite weird. I think that's weird. There's multiple sources saying that the rumors are true, that OBJ and the Vikings have been talking. I mean, the Browns and the Vikings have been talking involving the wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. And sending him they even gave the details of the trade, like a second and a fifth. I think it'd be stupid if the Browns did that now, especially because I mean it's only been 1 year, and I don't think instantly you can tell if it's not gonna work right now just off 1 year. And that too, I think you have the worst form of your quarterback. I guarantee you Baker can't get worse than that. And if he does get worse than that, they need to look for a quarterback. I don't know if you're with me on that.
Oh no,
But,
I agree. I really like Baker actually. I think
I like Baker too. That's what I'm saying. I don't think he'll have a worse season than last year. And if he does, like I said, go get a new quarterback, and then you can ask for a trade. But I'm seeing a lot of other rumors saying that the Browns are inevitably going to trade Odell at some point this season. Whether the rumors are true or not true, there's multiple reports that are saying that he will get traded at some point.
I don't think that's a good move for the Browns at all.
I also don't think it's a good move for the Browns at all. I think it hurts their team big time. I think they lose a weapon, and they just added Hooper, so I think that receiving core is insane. I think if Baker just improves, because the Nick Chubb was nuts last year, absolutely crazy, and now they just kept Kareem Hunt as he signed the tender, and they added Hooper. Their defense, I think, got better. So, I mean, I don't see how they won't be successful as long as Baker does his job. And then if Baker does his job, I know for a fact Odell's going to want to stay there. And he would never want to get traded. And, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you say there. And I think trading away OBJ, at least this early, because I don't know, I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure the Giants are still shelling out a good portion, like percentage of that contract. Like obviously not a majority of it, but you're not paying OBJ's full contract currently, and you're getting him at maybe a slightly discounted rate than you would normally. And it was 1 year under Freddie Kitchens, who had no clue what he was doing. I don't know. So, do you want to move on to? Do you want to talk about like our wide receiver rankings right now, or?
Yeah, we can do that. I think there's not really any major NFL news per se. Yeah, we can get going with that.
How do you want to do this? So like we read off like our number one. Like I read my one, you read your one, and then we debate about it or whatever.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah.
Okay, sure. Let's drop into it. I think my number one was CeeDee Lamb. I think that is also your number one.
Yep. I have CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver out of Oklahoma. So I really like CeeDee Lamb. He's in my opinion, the safest wide receiver to pick. He's got great body, great physique. Last season, he had 62 receptions for 1,327 yards and 14 touchdowns. Amazing stats there coming out of quarterback Jalen Hurts. And I think he's got great potential. I really like what I'm seeing there. I think he could be the next DeAndre Hopkins if everything goes right.
I really like his yards after catch. Like that's for me is like he's so good at that. He's so good at getting open. He's probably one of the better route runners in this class, and he has really good ball skills. Like you can see him. He goes up and makes a ton of contested 50-50 catches. He's probably, like you said, the safest player in this draft. And honestly, I think it's probably interchangeable. I think our top four, just looking at our list side by side right now, they're identical. I think our fourth player is going to have a lot of people probably mad at us, but our top three, we can just say my top three is at least Lambs, Judy, and Ruggs, and that's your top three as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that'll be everyone's top three, most people's top three, I should say. Number two, though, we do have Jerry Judy. I think
from Bama.
He's also great wide receiver. I think they'll both be great wide receivers, both Judy and Lamb. I think they'll both kill it in the league, depending on also who they have at quarterback. But I think even then, I think they'll still be fine.
Judy is the best route runner in this class. I think there's only one other guy. Trying to see if I can see him on here. He's on my list, I believe. But there's only one other guy I think who's really up there with route running. He's the best route runner. I think he's not as good as like a jump ball receiver, but he's got good speed. He's got that he's 6'1" or whatever. He's got that weight. He doesn't really have any durability concerns. So
yeah, after his first step, he's really good. He accelerates down the field. He reaches second gear and then stretches the defense over the top. And he can easily run by double coverage. I've seen it in my own eyes. He's killing it. I think I really like Jerry Judy here.
Henry Ruggs, also from Alabama, probably the fastest player in this draft class.
Yeah, him or Rigor. I think one of the two are the fastest of the draft. I think he's also. I think he reminds me more of Sammy Watkins, maybe a Deshaun Jackson.
I don't think Henry Ruggs is going to be that type of receiver who you can force him 10 receptions a game or whatever. But I think he's going to make splash plays every game, potentially, every other game where, he goes out for that long, 70-yard touchdown, or you can watch him his quickness, he can make some crazy plays just off that little lateral agility he has where he takes a catch and other guys would get tackled, but he manages to just get away from a defender because he has that rare second gear. He has that really nice that elusiveness that other players don't have. And I don't know, that's just something I really like watching. So he's probably my favorite target for the Eagles just because we need speed on the outside. But honestly, I would love the other three guys as well.
Same here. Yeah, I really like the other guys a lot.
Okay, well, let's hop into our number 4 guy, which most people have Justin Jefferson. I think you have T. Higgins, and I also have T. Higgins. Yep. And honestly, I don't understand why everyone is discrediting T. Higgins. There's a reason he's been looked at as one of the best college wide receivers for the last 2 years. It's because he's pretty good, man.
Yeah, he's really good in my opinion. So here's the thing, right? I initially late last week I had Jefferson over Higgins, and I'm looking more into it. I'm looking more into Higgins' stats. I think I told you last night the tape doesn't lie. Straight up, the tape doesn't lie. Word for word. And I think he's just nuts. And I don't believe. I mean, Jefferson's insane too. I think they'll both be good. I'd give Higgins a slight edge, but it's not a big edge for sure. Yeah, I think T. Higgins is the right guy.
I think Higgins has pretty comparable speed to Jefferson. I saw him running past guys multiple times. He took like a 37-yard reverse all the way to like for a touchdown against LSU, which has fast players in Grant Delpit and Patrick Queen and all that. Like that's pretty, like that's probably one of the best competition you could get in college football. And he ran past those guys. People are saying, oh, he's not that fast because of his 40 time. I think the 40 time is the most overrated thing of all time.
Yeah.
I don't know if you agree with me on that.
John Ross shows that.
I mean, John Ross should have been, amazing. And granted, it's because he's probably, yeah. I don't know what to think about that.
So here's the thing with Higgins, right? So he does have a couple weaknesses. I think his route tree is quite limited. I think his press release needs some work, and I don't know. I think he needs a little more upper body strength too to sustain maybe some run blocks. Looking at some film, but I think some definite like easy strengths that you can easily tell is that he can play at all the receiver spots easily. He can be used to create mismatches pretty well. I think he has rare instincts once the ball goes up. He's incredible once the ball goes up.
I think he's right up there. I think he probably has the best catch radius in this draft class. I think pure jump ball guys, it's him, Denzel Mims, and CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's very reliable. I think in space against zone, he's the man. So I really like him.
See, I'm looking at my scouting notes of him right now. What I wrote is he has good enough speed, and I would agree with that. Like I said, he ran past a lot of guys. He has solid blocking, could work on that. I think he's pretty good with the ball in his hands as well. Like he's not he's not Henry Ruggs or KJ Hamler type of elusive, but he's pretty physical, as in he can break a couple tackles if he needs to. And I think his hands are really good. So, and also you mentioned earlier, for me, what puts him over Justin Jefferson for me is he played everywhere and he was successful everywhere. Like if you look at Justin Jefferson, he's mainly played the slot, and that's where he's been successful for his last season. Versus T. Higgins, he lined up everywhere, and that's something I literally wrote down in my notes. He plays everywhere, and that's not something Justin Jefferson does.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think if everything goes right with him, he could be like the next AJ Green. I see that type of comparison with him as well.
I think you could make an argument T. Higgins is up there with that first tier wide receivers, the top three. In fact, I think he is. I think he's part of that upper tier. Like he's right there.
Although I don't know if teams are valuing him that high, but I think if you really look into it, I'm with you. I think he should be up there within the top three. In my opinion, I think he actually might be an overall better receiver than even Ruggs. But I think Ruggs is he's the speedster. So I don't know. But I think, he's definitely up there within the top three, for sure.
Okay, number 5, the first time we actually defer. You have – who do you have?
Justin Jefferson.
Okay, and I have Denzel Mims. Okay.
Yeah. So you have Mims at 6. Mims at 5. I have Mims at 6. You have Jefferson at 6. I have Jefferson at 5. So this is not a very big disagreement here. I think Higgins, Mims, and Jefferson are all really good receivers. I think they're all we have them around the same area. So not a big difference there though. But looking into Justin Jefferson, for me, I think he might be slightly better than T. Higgins, because he's got that good initial burst off the snap. His catch radius is also insane too. His catch radius is probably also up there with one of the best I've seen in the draft. But yeah, like I said, great catching, great catch focus. He leaps quite high, and his length is there to carry him into the high point. And I think he's also a good slot blocker too, to help the run. And yeah, I think that's what I like about Justin Jefferson. I think he's got the stats too. He did well this past year with Joe Burrow at quarterback. he's slippery in space. I think you could definitely. I think I think he'll be picked before Higgins. That's my prediction. I think he'll get picked before Higgins, but I do think Higgins is the better receiver. I think he'll be out of Higgins, Mims, and Jefferson. I think Jefferson will get picked first among those three.
Okay, so I agree with most of your points. Actually, I think he's really good with the ball in his hands, in space. Like you said, he's pretty fast. I don't think he plays that 4.4 speed that he ran at the combine. I think that's more of him, training for a couple months and getting that speed up there. But he's definitely fast enough. I think like you said again, he has a pretty good, like, impressive catch radius where he can make some of these really nice contested catches. He has good enough speed. I think his route running could use a little bit of work. He did run some really good slants. That's something I wrote down here. His slants really stood out to me when I was watching his film. But again, my only knock on him is that he plays the slot, and I don't know if he can ever become that true, like, wide receiver one, as in like he might put up wide receiver one numbers, but if I want a guy on the outside, I don't know if he's going to be your guy versus someone like Denzel Mims. Like I said, he has an elite catch radius, elite jump ball skills. I saw many times in Baylor's quarterback situations. So, like, they don't have a good quarterback, but Denzel Mims would bail this guy out multiple times with some incredible catches. And I'm like, wow, like that's like remarkable. I think his blocking is really good. And he has good enough speed. I think he's another guy who benefited a lot from his 40 time. He ran like a 4.38 or whatever. He does not play that 40 time at all. He has good enough speed, but he's not going to like burn past people usually. He might get a step on someone like on a deep ball, maybe 2 steps, but it's nothing crazy. He doesn't have like KJ Hamler speed.
I think the weaknesses you're saying, I agree with. I think he is probably better off being. I don't think I see him also as a wide receiver one, but he'd be a damn good wide receiver too. Because I think you're right. He does only play the slot, and but I mean, he has all the qualities to play in the slot. To be fair, I think he's a really good route runner. He's very experienced. He's got late hands. Yeah, I think he's also overall as a character too. I looked into that too. I did some research on him. I think he's got the great character and the mindset to be a great asset to a team. That's why I like Justin Jefferson a lot. But yeah, I think you're right. He's not the type of guy to burn people. He's not. He's lacking a bit of speed. He did show it in the 40 that he is fast, obviously. But I think the 40 time, like you said, it's pretty irrelevant when it comes to playing in the actual league. Unless you're talking about Chris Johnson, who killed it with his speed. Yeah, I think he's not a big separation type of receiver. I think, he needs to get more strength. But I think between him and Mims, I think he's the safe pick because I think he's an easy second wide receiver to whoever your wide receiver one is on your current team. So yeah, I really like him. And then going on to the next, we didn't talk about Denzel Mims here. I have Mims later. You have Jefferson later. So Denzel Mims, I also like a lot. I think initially I wasn't that high on him. Even when we did the first mock draft, I wasn't like super high on him. I don't even have him in my first 35 picks, I'd say. I didn't have him even listed. He wasn't even close to my list. But then I was looking more and more into the film. I think he has a lot of promise. The problem with him is he's too risky of a pick. I think he's like that DK Metcalf type pick. I think it's big risk, big reward in my opinion with Denzel Mims. He's got great size and great speed, insane size in my opinion. He's pretty good on the 50-50 throws that the quarterback throws towards him. I think his build-up speed also helps him to bypass any type of coverage that's like stacked. I don't know if you saw that in the film too. But his weaknesses, I think he's too tall into stems in the aspect of maybe his burst maybe might get a bit might get affected because of his height, and I think he lacks release quickness too. And also, I've been noticing this a lot in all of his games. He does drop the ball a good amount of times. I think that's quite of a problem, and he's easily getting bullied. I see that a lot too when he's about to attempt to get the catch out. I think that's a problem with him. And yeah, his contested catch game isn't like the best by any means. So couple of minor things I think, but yeah, I think drops is probably the major problem that I have with Mims. But I think his positives, or I'll put it this way: his strengths are better than Jefferson's strengths technically, because he has wide receiver one potential with Mims, and Jefferson's obviously the safer pick, but Jefferson is only going to be a slot receiver. So yeah, I think Denzel Mims, I think he'll also be a great receiver. But yeah, that's why I have him at 6.
I disagree with you on the contested catch thing. I think he's one of the better like jump ball contested catch guys in this draft. But I pretty much agree with you with everything else. His drops are sort of odd. He has some weird like concentration drops almost.
He's not consistent though with his contested catch. He's like not consistently like outworking his opponents and like physical press corners to get the catch out. I don't know. I mean, I've seen he does have contested catches obviously when you see his highlight reel, but I think he gets bullied a lot. That's what I see. But I mean, yeah, you can go on.
Yeah, we're pretty much, we have these top 6 guys. We're pretty, unanimous on this. Just a little bit of discrepancies here and there. 7 through 9, though, you have Ayuk, Rager, and Pittman in that order, and I believe I also have those 3: Ayuk, Rager, and Pittman. So Ayuk, Brandon Ayuk, the wide receiver from Arizona State, Rager from TCU, and Michael Pittman Jr. from USC. What stands out for each of these guys for you?
So I think Rigor has the speed. I don't believe his 40 time. That's insanely fast. If that was his 40 time, my God. And if that was his 40 time, I think he'd be a lot higher on many teams' draft boards, in my honest opinion. But Rigor, like I said, his speed is something to look out for. Pittman, I really like Pittman. I actually have Pittman. I earlier had Pittman above Mims, and I had him above Grigor. I like Pittman because he's kind of like a Cortland Sutton. I see that in him. He's like the go-to target for whatever team he'll play for. And I think even in the Broncos, Cortland Sutton's the go-to target there. He's got that. He's got a great size, toughness. He has great build-up speed. He's probably one of the better contested catch makers in this draft. He'll get it after the run blocker. He's also, I don't know if you're looking into special teams when you're analyzing these receivers, but he's also great for special teams. I saw a couple of his returns, and he's also great at that as well. And when you're looking at Jalen Rigor, he's a speedster. I think he's got versatility. I think he's pretty. He's like a slashing running. He plays like a slashy running back. But I think his weaknesses are like his ball skills. In general, I don't think his skill game is really there yet. And he doesn't have the typical. I don't like his character either. I've read a lot of articles about him saying that about him and how he has like frustration with quarterbacks a lot. And yeah, he needs to maintain focus and finish the routes that he's planned on running. But yeah, Jalen Rigor, and then the last player I had on mine was so I had Ayuk the highest out of the 3. Ayuk, I think, is a very safe. I think he's also a safe pick. he's really good too. He's also a great special teams player as well. I think his comparison. Okay, so I'm looking at a lot of comparisons for these players. A comparison Woods, which is a great player in the NFL today. His for Ayuk, he's great. He has long arms. He's he's a guy that's consistently, when you're watching film, you can tell that he gets the first downs all the time, and he can easily get off the off man coverage. But his weaknesses that he has is vertical separation. You can see that, and I think he needs to learn how to create catch in space. I think that's where Pittman and him difference. But I like Rigor a lot. I think he's going to do some great things in this league for sure. And
Okay,
yeah, that's
so
what I have. That's what I have in my 3 receivers. I have Ayuk at 7, Rigor at 8, Pittman at 9.
same thing for me. For Brandon Ayuk, like you said, he's a good special teams guy. I saw him have some pretty good returns. I think he has like really like great speed. Like it's underrated speed. It's not like Rager fast, but he has like that. You know, he could definitely burn people. I think one thing that's really important. He catches with his hands, and we're about to talk about another guy you have later than me who doesn't catch with his hands. I think durability and injuries might be a slight concern just because he got injured a little bit. But I think his yards after catch is really good. He was lining up everywhere, and he's good hands. I think he could work a little bit on his route tree. I think that's something he really needs to work on. He ran like really limited routes, I felt like, at Arizona State. And similarly, Joan Rager, my comparison to him would be someone like OBJ, where if he reaches his ceiling, and I think he's the most risky out of these 3 guys, Ayuk, Rager, and Pittman.
Agreed.
He has really good speed. His quickness is right up there with Henry Ruggs. He was good with the ball in his hands, and he's like, for someone who's like 5'11", 206 pounds or whatever it is, he hit some really good jump balls, which is why I compare him a little bit to OBJ, where he got up there and he went over the top of guys who were bigger than him and caught the ball. He has better size. I'm going to compare him to KJ Hamler, who I have at 10. KJ Hamler versus him, he has really similar speed to him, but he's like 30 pounds heavier or 20 pounds heavier. He's like 2 inches taller. He has less of those durability concerns. His route running is solid, but he could definitely work on that. And I think the whole thing with Joan Rager is his route running it's good, but he could work on it, and he has some really bad concentration drops. If he can get into the league and he has like a really good wide receiver coach, someone like who could coach those drops out of him, work on the little nuances of route running, whatever that might be, he could definitely be up there, and you could really unlock his potential. I think he has a higher ceiling than Ayuk and Pittman, in my opinion, but again, he's riskier than them just a little bit, where he had those drops and stuff like that. Like someone like Nelson Aguilar, he had those drop problems his entire career, where, he was dropping them his rookie year and he dropped them his 5th year. So like Rager can definitely frustrate you. He's a risky pick, but I like him. And then finally finishing off on Michael Pittman, I think we're going to talk about catch radius and like being physical and being a good jump ball receiver a lot in this draft class. Look at Denzel Mims, T. Higgins, Michael Pittman, all these guys, CeeDee Lamb. There's a lot of like bigger, tall receivers, like 6'2" and above. Pittman here is 6'4", around 220 pounds. You got lots of these guys who goes up and they just can get the ball, and it's a pretty good example of what this draft class is. Where in the later rounds you got like guys like Donovan Peoples-Jones from Michigan who you could really go up there and grab guys. One really good thing I like about Pittman here is he had like 4 drops in his entire career. That's really good for me. He's not really an elite speed guy. He doesn't run a lot of routes. He doesn't have lateral speed, so he's not gonna burn guys. But he could definitely he runs a lot of curls, nines, and slants, and he's good at running those. So if you can kind of get him into like the mold where he's running those routes to start his career, but you're developing all those other routes as he goes. I think Pittman could be a really good wide receiver going into it. Let's move on a little bit to our wide receivers, 10 through 15. We can stop at 15, I feel like. I have Hamler, Brian Edwards, Laviska Shenault, Van Jefferson, Michaels Peoples-Jones, and Tyler Johnson. And looking at your list, could you read off your remaining 10 through 15 for me?
Yeah, I have Laviska Shenault at 10, Edwards at 11, Hamler at 12. I have Chase Claypool at 13, Van Jefferson at 14, and I have Colin Johnson. Not Tyler Johnson, but Colin Johnson at 15.
Okay, let's talk about our unanimous number 11 first, Brian Edwards. I really liked Brian Edwards when I watched him. I think when I was watching his tape, the first thing that stood out to me was had nothing to do with him. It had to do with his quarterback being complete like garbage. This man was overthrowing stuff, throwing it to the wrong person continuously. It was really frustrating to watch. What I liked about Brian Edwards, he's 6'3", 212. He's physical. He had some pretty good slants from what I saw. Decent speed. He was used really interestingly down there with the Gamecocks in South Carolina. He had a lot of jet sweeps and stuff, which I like to see. Like they were using him in that sort of versatile role. I think one thing that is sort of sus about him, he had some injury issues. I believe I have here he broke his foot while training for the combine. He had a torn meniscus, which ended his senior season. But I think he's going to be one of those guys who probably drops past the 11th wide receiver taken on the board just because we're in a Corona type of world where we can't do those medicals on him. So he's a riskier pick versus his injuries. But I think Brian Edwards, I really like what I saw on film. He was physical. He had good enough speed. And I don't know. What are your thoughts about Brian Edwards?
So I agree. His best trait is physicality. I think he's very physical. I think he's also more of I think kind of like the Jefferson type where I have him as a big slot target. I don't see him as a wide receiver one by any means. But he's won a lot of his routes from playing in the middle of the field. And but my problem with him the most is his separation against the back. I have a problem seeing that. I don't know if you see that in his film, but he doesn't have the ideal like burst or juice to get passed through like different types of coverages, like a stack coverage or like a man-to-man coverage. I haven't seen a lot of stuff like that. But I think I think overall I like Brian Edwards. He's got a lot of promise. I think once he can show up like maybe his hands, I think he needs to get better at catching, period. But I think his ceiling could be a lot higher once he fixes those minor problems. But yeah, I really like him, Brian Edwards.
Yep. So number 12, our number 12 and 12 guys are switched. You have Shenault first and then Hamler. I have Hamler, then Shenault. The reason I have Hamler ahead of him, mainly just because I think he has speed. Shenault doesn't have that speed. Hamler could have potential to really be like a Tyreek Hill type of player where, he's arguably probably when I watched in the film, I thought he looked faster than Rager to me. I think he might have even been faster than Ruggs. He has that elite speed and quickness where in space, he's, darting past guys and it's really fun to watch. I think his route running is pretty solid. My only problems with him are he's really light. He's like 5'9", 178 pounds. That's like, there are not many guys in the NFL who like survived at that type of weight. And I'm afraid if he puts on weight, might get, slow down his speed and that might not be the same type of guy. You're drafting for his speed, puts on that weight, he might not be as fast. Because of that, his blocking is really miserable, and I don't expect him to be a good blocker at all with someone with that type of speed. He wasn't really a jump ball guy. You don't really expect that from him. injuries are again a pretty big concern. I think one thing I really didn't like about him, my biggest problem with him was that he catches with his body a lot versus, catching with your hands. I think in the NFL, there's a good chance lots of those completions he had where he caught with his body, those could end up being incompletions because someone comes in and jars it out. Just those little technical aspects. However, I like him more than Laviska Shenault just because I felt like Laviska Shenault was sort of a gadget guy. He has some really nice power. When he runs, he kind of looks like Derrick Henry, but his ball tracking was really bad. His route running wasn't good. His injuries, it's not like the same injury over and over again, but he's consistently getting injured, which is something I don't really like. That being said, with Chanel, I think he's a really good gadget guy. Like he could be like a Cordero Patterson or a Deebo Samuel, where you're giving him handoffs in the backfield, you're giving him jet sweeps and screens, and he can definitely run past a defender as well. His rack is really good. He really, he's kind of like a bowling ball. He bounces off people pretty well. The only reason I had KJ Hamler better though is just because he has that rare speed and Chanel doesn't. Your thoughts?
So the thoughts that I have. Okay, so I have Shenault higher because the main issue with Shenault is his injuries, in my honest opinion. I think he'd be a lot higher on my list if he wasn't injured. Because I don't see I think his strengths are there. I think so I was looking at Pro Football Focus, and they're an in-depth stat company for football. I think he has elite physical tools that I don't think any other coach could really teach. He has a lot of promise. That's why I have Shenault so high. He played all three receiver spots at Colorado. He's got sudden hands. I think he's also insane with this 50-50 balls. I think also one of the best receivers for the 50-50 balls. His quickness is there. His speed might not be there, but in my opinion, I think he's very quick to gather and square to the quick quarterback. He's got a big frame. That's another positive I like about him. And I liked his versatility that he has to force defenses to spend additional time to really look into him, because I think he's a unique wide receiver. You're not going to get a guy with that type of frame, with that type of hand-eye coordination. When you're seeing the 50-50 balls that he has, it's just insane. But yeah, I think the weaknesses that Shenault has, I think, is the main thing is his injuries. I don't think he in the past 2 seasons he hasn't played a full season or anywhere close to a full season. His 2018 season, it wasn't it was strong, but it could have been a lot stronger. I think his surgeries are another thing. Surgeries on the labrum and on the toe. That's quite. I don't know how I feel about that. But his route runnings are very telegraphic. You could easily see where he's going because of his stride that he puts on. That I think that's a minor problem that can easily be fixed though. But yeah, I don't have that many weaknesses for Laviska Shenault other than mainly his injury. The first 3 points I made were just based off injury. So I don't necessarily see. I can see why people are that low on him, but I mean, I think he's still a top 10 receiver. I expect him to get picked in the second round. I'd be shocked if he did not get picked in the second round. And now we're comparing him to KJ Hamler, who you have at 10 and I have at 12. So with KJ Hamler, the Penn State guy himself, I think he's very quick. He's got that. I mean, the combine, we did say 40s were irrelevant, but he did have sub 40 speed. But I mean, his best tape, if you looked at his game against Ohio State, he shaked the press very well, and he was against now who's supposed to be probably a top 5 pick in Jeffrey Okudah. He basically burnt him. I thought he did really well that game. His run after the catch is very good. Rack, I think, as you said before. And I think his promise is there because his athleticism is very good. His route running, I think, will be there as well. But the problem I have with KJ Hamler is his size. He's only 5'11", I think, as you said. I think he needs to work. I mean, obviously, you can't work on size because he's not tall to begin with. But that's a problem that could cause durability issues similar to what Laviska Shenault had. So in that aspect, that's quite of a problem. Yeah, I don't think he's that physical. I don't think his physicality is there by any means. And his route, I don't like his route tree either. I don't like. I think it's very one-sided. But I think between the two, I like the talent that Laviska Shenault has. I think he's more talented than KJ Hamler, and KJ Hamler I think has the same durability after future problems that Shenault could have. Shenault probably is obviously more likely to get hurt, but because of his previous injury issues. But I think they both have injury issues. But I think if you were going to take a risk on one over the other, I think I'd prefer Laviska Shenault on that risk because he's got a big reward if he can fix it. And his weaknesses are pretty minor considering the major weakness that he has is his durability. And if he fixes that issue, he should be a great receiver in the future.
Yep. Moving on, I have Van Jefferson at 13. You have him at 14. Again, all these receivers we're talking about, these are like potentially like top 100 picks. Like these guys could definitely go in the top 3 rounds, which shows you how deep this wide receiver class is. I think we've been going about these wide receivers the last like half an hour or whatever. These guys are good, man.
Yeah, these guys are really good. I agree. These guys are they're pretty special. This is probably one of the best receiving classes of all time.
Yeah. So let's just talk about Van Jefferson really quick. He's from Florida, 6'2", 197 pounds. I really like his route running. His hands are really good. Like technicality wise, like technically he's really good. I like him in space. My only problems with him were he's not really physical. And he's just his first step was sort of slow, but other than that, like I really like what I saw from Van Jefferson from Florida.
Yeah, I liked Van Jefferson too. You have him at 13, I have him at 14, basically around the same. Van Jefferson, he's another guy that I think has a lot of promise in the league, but I mean, yeah, he's versatile. He's I think he's above average release. He's got that too. He gets the ball upfield. He's great after the catch in general. But I think his weaknesses that he has are he's quite shifty, and shifty can be good, but I think he's a bit too shifty. And his production's been all right. I'll be honest; it's not like the best by any means.
Yeah.
His tape is good though. I'm not gonna lie, but it's the production's not really there as a prospect compared to all these other receivers. And I have Chase Claypool before him, who I think slightly better than Van Jefferson. But I mean, I don't know where you have Chase Claypool, but I have him at 13. But yeah, that's what I think.
So right before I jump into Chase Claypool, who I have at 16, so outside my top 15. Van Jefferson, I think he's the second best runner in this league in this draft behind Jerry Jeudy. He was like turning around. I saw his film against LSU, I believe it was. I think the guy's name is Byron Stingley, something like that. Stingley. He's a he's going to be a future first round pick. He was turning him around. He was running really nice like sluggos and back shoulder fades and everything on him. He was really like, this is a really talented guy that he's beating up. And I think Van Jefferson has potential to be a really good guy, just solely because, like, technicality-wise, he's so elite that while he might not have, like, the elite physical measurements, he could make up for that by, just completely turning someone around by just being a good route runner. So, talking about Chase Claypool, I really dislike Chase Claypool. The only reason I even have him, like, in my top 20 is because Like he
Honest-
has like good potential, sort of like if everything works out. But he does not run his 4.42 speed or whatever it was. He has some drops. He doesn't really separate. He was like slow on film, man. I just didn't like him at all. What are your thoughts about Claypool?
So the reason I have Claypool somewhat high, like 13 high, is because I think he's pretty strong. He's got the size and length to become a very talented receiver in the league. Uh, I think he's great for blocking as well, and he uses the size to create space from the corners. That's the main thing. He has the basic strengths, but he does it well. I think his size is the main strength that he has, and I think I've already told you this, but that's the only strength that I can really see is his size. But that size that he uses that size strength probably better than most of the receivers in this draft class. So that's why I have him that high. But his weaknesses, I agree. I think the sluggishness is quite. He's not that fast in the tape. You can clearly see that. Um, I think he needs to get better at in his deep balls. I haven't seen a lot of great catches from that. Uh, but yeah, speed. I don't see that speed. But he was very fast though in the combine with that 4.42. I'm surprised that he ran that fast. If he can be that fast in game, then yeah, I think where I have him at 13 is a fair place to have him.
So for my number 14 guy, who I have over Claypool, I have Donovan Peoples-Jones from Michigan. He was like I think a number one wide receiver recruit coming out of high school. His jump ball was really good. I was looking at his film. He was like really shifty for someone at like 200 pounds, like almost 210. He had some really nice hands, some good jump balls. Um, I would prefer him over Claypool just because when I watch him on film, he has that speed. He has that like I think he has a higher ceiling than Claypool. Like versus like Claypool, he looks slow. Donovan Peoples-Jones like fast, and also Shea Patterson was the quarterback for Michigan this year, and he was by no means good. I think that really hindered the Michigan offense in general, and Donovan Peoples-Jones did not benefit from that. I think giving him a good quarterback in the pros could be really good for him. Your thoughts about him? I think you have him at 17, I believe.
Yeah, he's not in my top 15 only because his separation game is awful. I don't see his separation game. His separation game is not the best. The corners are gonna lock him down in the league. I think, but he does have the size. I like the size that he has. He's a big receiver, and his hands. He's very reliable. He's one of the more reliable receivers in the league. But in this draft, I should say. But I think yeah, I don't like how he gets past people. I don't see that yet. And also, fun fact, I'm looking through my research. He's never posted a 100-yard game in at Michigan. Just simple as that. So
Fair enough.
I don't see a very big potential in Peoples-Jones. But yeah, his size. I mean, I still have him in my top 20 because of his size. And he's got great hands, and he gets a lot of touchdowns. I like receivers that get touchdowns, obviously. So, but yeah, size and yeah, and his yards after catch is pretty good too. That's another thing.
Yep.
That's what I had for.
So moving on to 15, you have Colin Johnson. I have Tyler Johnson. I I'm going to be honest. I did not get to watching Colin Johnson film, so you can take it away for him.
So Colin Johnson. I have a 15. I looked at film for him probably for a good amount of time. Actually, not gonna lie, because I've never seen him play, so I wanted to know how he's really like. Uh, so apparently he's had a hamstring issue in 2019. So he hasn't had a lot of time to play this past year. But other than that, some of the strengths is he's got great hands. And he's also quite physical. I like his physicality, and I like how so whenever there's a zone playing at him, he's actually quite effective. because of his big frame that he has. And yeah, Colin Johnson looks really good also on film. But the problem with Colin Johnson is his speed is quite poor. He didn't run the 40 obviously in the combine. He only did the bench press at the combine altogether. But his weaknesses that I have, he's not like elusive after the catch. He needs to impose his size on opponents. His size is not. He doesn't use his size. He's kind of the opposite of what I have for Chase Claypool. Claypool actually uses his size quite well. That's why I'm quite high on Chase Claypool. Colin Johnson, he has the size. He just needs to use it. That's why he has the potential to be that high. So that's why I have him at 15.
Okay, so talking about Tyler Johnson from Minnesota, he's 6'1", 206 pounds. I just like him like overall. I think he's like a pretty sure-handed wide receiver. I don't think he has like a super high ceiling or anything, but like he's pretty solid at everything he does. He has some nice like physical catches. He has some nice speed, nice yak. Like he's just like a solid like overall like pretty good guy. I believe he put up back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons for Minnesota, so that's something you like to see. Yeah. Do you want to talk about like one sleeper before we move on to our draft storylines?
Sleeper. Okay, so the sleeper I have for me is Lynn Bowden.
Okay.
For all the receivers, Lynn Bowden and Gabriel Davis. Actually, Gabriel Davis is another receiver to look out for out of UCF. He's getting these 1,000-yard seasons. I like Gabriel Davis. I think he's got potential.
My guy is James Prochet from SMU. He's 5'11", a little bit under 200 pounds. And when I looked at him, I just saw Jarvis Landry. Like, he doesn't run that fast. He doesn't really do anything like remarkably well. But everything he does do well is like he's just like a solid, reliable guy you can like, rely on. And he has like this really like remarkable way of getting open. Like, I can't even explain it to you. Like, he doesn't seem like he runs like really great routes, but like he does. He just knows like the holes and zone coverage as well. He just gets open, man. So he's just like my underrated guy where like if you get him like a good quarterback, eventually he might be putting up like those underrated like 1,000-yard seasons, and you're like, oh, there's just a random guy here who's doing well. But he's my sleeper. Let's go on to our draft storylines. My biggest draft storyline is, will Tua Tagovailoa drop? Do you think he will?
Yes, I think he will. Okay, so this is a bold prediction. I don't think he'll get drafted inside the top 10.
Okay, that's really bold. I think so. You think the Dolphins will draft Justin Herbert then, or not draft a quarterback at all?
So that's the thing, right? So I still think, in my current estimation, I believe they'll still draft Justin Herbert, but I could easily see them drafting like an offensive lineman or defensive lineman at 4. Or I should say at 5. Yeah, 5 at 5. Yeah.
Okay. I think the whole medical issue is so interesting to me because reports are coming out that Tua has failed his medicals and 3 teams have taken him off their draft board or whatever it is. And to me, that's like shocking because it goes Burrow, then Tua, and then there's a huge gap before there's anyone else. I don't know if you watch Justin Herbert film, but there's no way in hell I can even think about picking him like in the top 5, top 10, or anything like that. Just because.
No. Come on, you can't be that low on him.
I'm really low. I think Jordan Love's ceiling is higher than Justin Herbert, and I'd prefer to take that ceiling versus someone who's consistently shown bad footwork, consistently made wrong reads. Like, if you look at Jordan Love,
Justin Herbert's past season wasn't like amazing by any means, but you should look at his sophomore year. He was killing it. I think here's the thing with Justin Herbert, if he declared, sophomore year and junior year, if he declared last year for the draft, he would have been the first quarterback to be taken, in my honest opinion. He was killing it. He was a great prospect altogether. They were probably, the Giants, I think, were really interested in him, and they would have traded up to take Justin Herbert at their pick. I'm quite high on Justin Herbert, actually quite opposite to you. But the problem with Justin Herbert is he's got his I'm scared of his drop. I don't like his downfall could be quite low. It could be like Marcus Mariota low.
His mental processing to me is like idiotic. Like this man, like his accuracy. Like my problem, like if I'm comparing someone like Jordan Love, his ceiling is way higher. I think he was slightly more consistent versus someone like Herbert. Like he was consistently misreading defenses, consistently missing throws, consistently showing bad footwork. And he played for like all 4 years, I believe, and he didn't really improve. Like you said, he declined. So that's my big worry with him.
Yeah, I can see that then as I can see kind of where you're coming from in that aspect. He did decline, but I think if everything goes well, Carson Wentz, that's him. Simple as that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because I'll be dead honest, I had kind of similar problems with Wentz because Wentz, when he came out, he also played for a small school. I think his experience wasn't there. Herbert, you at least saw his promise, and it just so happened it didn't translate the following year. I think that was kind of similar with even like Sam Darnold in his last year of college as well. He didn't really show off to be how good he was, as good as he was the previous years at USC. Otherwise, Sam Darnold would have been taken definitely above Baker Mayfield. And I think up till like the week of the draft, maybe 2 weeks before the draft, people had Sam Darnold at 1 rather than Baker Mayfield. So, I mean, I think, yeah, I can kind of see where you're coming from with Justin Herbert. But, and yeah, his weaknesses are there. I think he struggles to escape pressure. I see that a lot in his game, but I don't know. I saw the same thing with Wentz, and Wentz is just fine. So, I hope Justin Herbert's just fine as well, whatever team he's going to.
But you definitely have Tua. Like you definitely draft Tua over Herbert, though, right?
I would, depending on the situation that he has on his medicals.
Okay, so
I can only do that also dependent, because here's the thing, right? So I really like Tua. I think Tua arguably is better than Joe Burrow even then. But the problem with Tua is the injury, and even without that hip injury, he's not very durable altogether.
Yeah, he's had ankle injuries as well.
He's had ankle injuries. He's missed games. I mean, I'm not like super crazy about it, but I don't know. I wouldn't pick him if he's failed physicals. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
Especially in this time where it's hard to get testing, and you've done a test prior to this entire situation, and he's failed the physical. That's too big of a risk to take. Because if he does fail the physical, it could be like an NBA draft terms. It could be like drafting Greg Oden, and he just bust because of his medical, and he just never could play because he was never healthy.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So my second storyline, and this is really important for me, it's trades in general. Will we see as many trades as we normally do in the NFL draft? Will trades even happen? Will we see teams like trading out of this year's first round picks, or like trading out of picks this year because of the whole uncertainty of them not being able to, have pro days and all of that, medicals? Will they trade out into future drafts like 2021, 2022? And will you see other teams who think that they're prepared for this year's draft class more than other teams? Will you see those teams potentially trading up and maybe getting, bargain values because teams are going to be willing to trade out. You might be able to trade up for less of a cost. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I think that we are going to still see some trades. Regardless, I think I actually think because of this quarantine, I think we could see more trades than normal. I think this first round is going to be really interesting. I think the Niners are going to trade outside the first. I think they will. They have 2 picks in the first round. I can honestly even see both their picks
trading out.
Trading out. Yeah.
I could see someone like the Lions, the Giants definitely trading out.
Yep, I think the Giant. Yeah, I can see the Lions trading down. I can see the Giants trading down. Uh, Although I think the Giants will probably stay with their pick, but I think I can definitely see them trading down. Another team to look out for would be the Chiefs. I just read a recent report
They're going
where
after Henry Ruggs.
they're going after Henry Ruggs if he drops. I don't know what their definition of drops is though. If their definition of drop is after the top 10, then I don't think they'll be able to trade up for him. But if their definition of drop is the top 15, then I think it's definitely possible that they could trade up for him. I don't know if what
Yeah.
you feel about that.
I think it's going to be interesting to see because, like, in all the mock drafts I've had, I've done, without trades, I have Jordan Love going really low, like somewhere like 19 to Oakland or whatever. That's not going to happen. Someone's going to trade up for him, like we get in every year's draft. We had the Bills doing it for Josh Allen. We had the Cardinals doing it for Josh Rosen. Like, it happens every year where teams
I can
will
even
need a
see.
quarterback trade up.
I'll be dead honest. I would be 100% honest with you. This could be like a very shocking, but I can even see Jordan Love getting picked ahead of Tua.
Oh, I could see that happening with the whole medical thing as well. Even though I don't agree with it, I think
I don't agree with it, but I think it could. I think it could happen. Do I think it will happen? Is a different situation. That's the same thing with even the Justin Herbert situation. Do I think it will happen? I'm not sure. I mean, none of the public really know how bad or how Tua is progressing from his injuries. So I think only the teams would really know based off the medical report they were given. So yeah, I can only assume, but I think I think that's where I'm at.
trade wise, I want to see if like a team like your Colts, like my Eagles, someone like that who might think that they're prepared for the draft, they trade up, like they're aggressive on the draft board because other teams are willing to drop out. I don't know. I'm really excited for this draft. Like we've been sitting at home for over a month, no sports for over a month. This is really going to be like a national treasure having some sort of sporting event.
Yeah. So here's the thing. You talked about the Colts and Eagles trading up. So for the Colts, they don't have a first round pick. They are at 34
Correct.
right now. So the Colts, I think if they see a guy like Jordan Love or Justin Herbert falling past the top 20, I can see them trading up 100% to get them. No problem. I mean, and I know for a fact their GM, Chris Ballard, hasn't even ruled out the possibility of drafting a quarterback within the first 2 rounds of this draft. If those guys, Jordan Love or Justin Herbert, drop, or even Tua drops, I think easily I can see the Colts trading up together.
Yeah.
But I think the Pats would be crazy not to pick a quarterback though. I would be shocked if they didn't, because I mean Jarrett Stidham, unless Jarrett Stidham kills it like a Dak Prescott with that 4th round pick, Jarrett Stidham was also there. I mean I don't know. I don't see how Jarrett Stidham is going to translate to being a genuine starting quarterback. I think I would be shocked if they didn't pick a quarterback in the first round.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what a team like the Saints does, because this is probably going to be Drew Brees' last year.
Yeah,
unless
and
they
I don't
really
know
think Taysom Hill is the guy, which I don't know why anyone with a sane and fully functioning brain would think that, but I want to see if they trade up for him.
We've never seen Taysom Hill play true quarterback though.
He's thrown like 7 passes, bro.
Exactly. We've only seen him throw 7 passes, but I mean, hey, he's done well in throwing in the 7 passes. I'm not gonna lie.
Mohamed Sanu has thrown more passes than Taysom Hill, and he's a wide receiver.
So we can't really say if Taysom Hill is a bad quarterback or a good quarterback, but the Saints must clearly like Taysom Hill as a quarterback in general then, if they're really valuing him that high. So they're knowing something that we clearly don't know if they're wanting to keep Taysom Hill that badly. Like, who would have a first-round tender for Taysom Hill? Even if there was a second-round tender, I don't know if I would take Taysom Hill for a second-rounder. It's kind of insane.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
I don't see that value. Yeah.
Do you have any other interesting storylines you want to talk about?
I'm trying to think. Is there any other interesting storylines? I don't think so.
Maybe something like how many wide receivers go in the top 100 picks. Because I think we could easily see like 10 guys, 15 guys go in the top,
Yeah, I agree.
100.
I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really have anything else to talk about much, to be honest, dude. You?
I don't either. I can see. Oh, maybe the Dolphins trade up for Joe Burrow.
Dude, that would be remarkable. I'm so excited.
Drafts this Thursday.
This Thursday. I'm planning on having a mock draft out with you later this week as well. Maybe we'll record it right after this. We'll see. Anyway, unless you have anything else to say, I think we can tie things up here.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks for listening, everyone. It's a really long episode, actually. Well, not that long. I've recorded longer, but again, the draft is this week. Pay attention to that because that's going to be really fun to watch. Do all the normal stuff, like, follow. Maybe if you really like this episode, which I don't know how many people actually watch this episode, but if you did, share this to your friends. Do all that fun stuff. Thank you, and peace out. Bye.